My name is Daniel Harper, and I used to believe that grief was the worst thing a person could go through. I was wrong. Grief is not the worst thing. Being lied to while you're grieving, that's worse, because grief breaks your heart. But betrayal, that rewires your entire reality. For years, that's how long. I lived inside a lie. 4 years of sending $1,500 every single month to my brother's wife. 4 years of believing I was helping a broken woman survive. 4 years of honoring a dead man, except he wasn't dead. And the day I found that out was the day something inside me changed permanently. My younger brother's name was Ethan. Ethan Harper. He was the kind of guy people forgave before he even made the mistake. Loud laugh, big heart. Zero sense of consequences. If life was a fire, Ethan didn't just stand near it. He ran straight into it smiling. And somehow, he always dragged me with him. We weren't just brothers. We were routine. Every Sunday, without fail, my phone would ring. Didn't matter if I was busy, asleep, out of town. Ethan called. Danny, you alive? That's how he started every call. Not hello, not how are you? Just that, Danny, you alive? And I'd always answer the same way. Barely. What did you mess up this time? He'd laugh. God, that laugh. Too loud. Too full. Like the world had never told him no. And he didn't plan on listening when it did. That laugh followed me my entire life. Until one day, it didn't. Instead, there was a knock on my door, and standing there was a police officer. I remember every detail of that moment, the way his hand rested on his belt, the way his voice softened before he spoke, the way my stomach dropped before he even said a word. There's been an accident. That's all it took. Everything after that felt distant. A highway. Rain. A crash, they said. Ethan didn't suffer. People always say that, like it's supposed to help. Like those words can somehow soften the fact that someone you love is gone. I nodded. I thanked him. I closed the door, and then I stood there in my living room, staring at nothing, trying to understand how the world could keep moving when mine had just stopped. The funeral was small. Quiet. Too quiet for someone like Ethan. He deserved noise. He deserved laughter. He deserved chaos. Instead, he got silence. And standing next to me the entire time was his wife, Lena. Now here's the truth I never said out loud back then. I never trusted Lena, not because she was cruel, not because she was rude, but because she felt empty. Like everything she did was slightly delayed, slightly rehearsed. Like she was watching herself from the outside and adjusting in real time. Ethan loved her. That was enough for me. So I played my part. I smiled at their wedding. I shook her hand. I told myself I was overthinking until the funeral, because that's when everything started to feel off. She cried, but not like someone who lost everything. It was controlled, measured, like she knew exactly how much emotion to show, and I ignored it, because what kind of man questions a grieving widow? 3 weeks later, I found myself sitting across from her at her kitchen table. She looked tired. Fragile, like she might break if I said the wrong thing. Daniel, she said softly, I don't know how I'm going to manage. I didn't ask what she meant. I already knew about money. It always comes down to money. Ethan handled everything, she continued. The bills, the rent. I don't know what to do. And that's when I made the decision that would cost me 4 years of my life. I'll help. I said. She'd hesitated. Just long enough to make it seem real. Maybe $1,500 a month. Just until I get back on my feet. I should have thought about it. I should have questioned it. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I wasn't thinking like a man. I was thinking like a brother. And every month after that, I sent the money. No reminders, no delays. Just a quiet transfer on the first of every month. At first, it felt right. Like I was doing something good. Like I was keeping a part of Ethan alive. Year 1 passed. Then year 2. Then year 3. And somewhere along the way, something changed. Lena stopped being broken. She started thriving. New clothes. New furniture. New energy. She laughed more. Smiled more. Lived more. And I told myself, that's a good thing. That's healing. That's what Ethan would want. But there was a small voice in the back of my mind. One I kept ignoring. Whispering something I didn't want to hear. This doesn't feel right. Ignored it until the day my neighbor knocked on my door. Her name was Mrs. Collins. Retired teacher. Sharp eyes. Sharper instincts. She didn't waste time on small talk. Daniel, she said, standing there with her arms crossed. Are you still sending that woman money. I blinked. Excuse me. She didn't repeat herself. She just stared at me like she already knew the answer. You should stop, she said. My chest tightened. That's not really your concern. She leaned closer, lowered her voice. There are things you don't know. And just like that, everything inside me went cold. I should have walked away, closed the door, ignored her, but I didn't. Because something in her tone told me this wasn't gossip. This was a warning. What things? I asked. She held my gaze for a long second, then said the words that changed everything. You need to see her apartment. And just like that, the life I thought I understood started to fall apart. I didn't sleep that night, not even a minute. I kept hearing a voice in my head over and over again. You need to see her apartment. It didn't sound like advice. It sounded like a warning. And the worst part, a part of me already believed. It's that small voice I'd been ignoring for years. It was louder now. Sharp, clear, relentless. Something is wrong. By morning, I had already made my decision. I was going to see for myself. No accusations, no drama, just a simple visit, like I'd done dozens of times before. Except this time, I wasn't going there as a brother helping his late brother's wife. I was going there looking for the truth. Her apartment was about 40 minutes away. I knew the drive by heart. Every turn, every signal, every shortcut. I had been there so many times over the years that it almost felt like a second home, which made what I was about to do feel even worse. Like I was about to betray someone who trusted me. But then again, what if I was the one being betrayed? I parked across the street, engine off, hands still on the steering wheel, and I just sat there, watching, waiting, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. Just go inside, I muttered. Say hello, check on her, that's it. Simple, normal, harmless, except nothing about this felt normal anymore. After 10 minutes of sitting there like an idiot, I finally got out of the car, walked up to the building, buzzed her apartment. Her voice came through the intercom, almost instantly. Bright, light, happy, double quotes. Hello. That alone made my stomach twist. Hey, it's me, I said. A pause. Not long, but long enough. Oh, Daniel. Hi. Come up. That hesitation. It didn't belong there. I knew her patterns, her tone, her rhythm. And that was new. The door clicked open. I walked in. Took the stairs instead of the elevator. I needed those few extra seconds to think, to breathe, to steady myself. But the closer I got to her door, the harder my chest started to feel. I knocked. She opened it almost immediately. Too quickly. Like she had been standing right there waiting. Daniel, she said, smiling. But it wasn't the same smile. It was tighter, controlled. Double quotes. You didn't. Cola was in the area, I replied. A lie. And we both knew it. She stepped aside. Come in. I walked past her, and that's when I noticed it. The apartment had changed. Not just small things. Everything. New furniture. Different layout. Expensive decor. It didn't look like a place struggling to survive. It looked like a place thriving. My eyes moved slowly across the room, taking everything in. And then I saw them. A pair of men's shoes. By the door. Large. Worn. Not new. Not occasional. Permanent. My chest tightened. I didn't say anything. Not yet. How have you been? She asked from behind me. Busy, I replied. Still looking around. Still processing. You've done some redecorating? She laughed lightly. Oh, needed a fresh start. A fresh start. That's what she called it. I nodded slowly. Then, I walked further in. That's when I saw the kitchen. 2 cups on the counter. Both used. Both still warm. I didn't touch them. Didn't need to. You can tell. There's a difference between something that's been sitting and something that was just used. You have company? I asked. Casual. Careful. Measured. She paused just for a second. My cousin stopped by earlier. I turned slightly, looked at her. Just left. Another lie. I could feel it. Not because I had proof yet, but because everything inside me was screaming it. I walked over to the couch, sat down slowly, and that's when I heard it. A sound. Soft. Almost nothing, but unmistakable. Movement. From the bedroom, my entire body went still. I looked toward the hallway. The door was closed. Lena was still talking behind me. Something about work. Something about a friend. I wasn't listening anymore, because I heard it again. A shift. A breath. Someone was in that room, trying not to be heard. My Heart started pounding. Not fast, not wild. Slow. Heavy. Like every beat was a warning. I stood up. Daniel, she said. I didn't answer. I took a step toward the hallway, and then it happened. Cough. Short. Low. Familiar. Too familiar. My world tilted because I knew that sound. I had known it my entire life. There are some things you never forget. A person's voice, their laugh, their habits, and that cough. That cough belonged to one person. My brother, Ethan. My hands went cold. My mouth went dry. This isn't possible. It can't be. He's dead. I buried him. I stood at his funeral. I watched them lower that coffin into the ground. I turned slowly, looked at Lena. Her face had changed. The mask was gone, and underneath it was something I had never seen before. Fear. Real fear, Daniel. She whispered. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't move fast. Didn't panic. Because in that moment, something inside me snapped into place. A calm I didn't recognize. A cold clarity. I pointed toward the bedroom door. Tell him to come out. Silence. Heavy. Thick. She didn't move. Didn't speak. Tell him. I repeated, my voice quieter now. Sharper. Or I will. Another second passed. Then another. And then the door opened. Slowly. Carefully. Like whoever was behind it knew. There was no going back. And then I saw him. Standing there. Alive. Breathing. Looking. Exactly the same. My brother Ethan. For a moment, time stopped. 4 years of grief. 4 years of memories. 4 years of pain. Collided all at once. And all I could think was, he's alive. He's been alive this whole time. And I buried him. He looked at me, guilt written all over his face, and then he said the one thing that broke whatever was left inside me. Hey, Danny. That voice. That same voice I hadn't heard in 4 years. Like nothing had changed. Like everything was normal. Something dark rose in my chest. Slow, heavy, dangerous. I took a step forward, then another, and stopped right in front of him. $72,000. 4 years of grief. 4 years of lies. I stared at him and spoke in a voice that didn't feel like mine. You have about 30 seconds, I said, quietly, to explain why I shouldn't destroy everything in this room. And for the first time in his life, my brother didn't laugh. He didn't answer right away. For the first time in his life, Ethan Harper didn't have something ready to say. He just stood there, breathing, looking at me like I was something fragile, something dangerous, something he didn't recognize anymore. And maybe he was right, because the man standing in front of him was not the same brother he had left behind 4 years ago. Say something, I told him. Quiet, controlled. But there was pressure behind it now, the kind that builds right before something breaks. He swallowed, ran a hand through his hair. Same old habit, same old Ethan. And somehow, that made it worse. I can explain, he said. I let out a short, empty laugh. You've got 30 seconds, I repeated. He nodded quickly, too quickly, like he'd been waiting for a permission. It wasn't supposed to go this far, he said. There. It was. Not an apology, not regret, an explanation. Classic Ethan. It started as a way out. He continued. A way out of what? I snapped out. He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything I needed to know. Say it, I said. His eyes dropped to the floor. Dead. Of course it always comes back to that. How much? I asked. He exhaled slowly. A lot. That's not a number. More than I could pay. I took a step closer. How much? His voice got smaller. Hundreds of thousands. The room went quiet. Even the air felt heavier. And he thought the best solution was to fake your death. Ask. It wasn't just that, he said quickly. There were people involved. Bad people. I messed up, Danny. I got into something I didn't understand, and by the time I realized it, I was already in too deep. I stared at him, waiting. Double quotes. Keep going, I said. He nodded. They told me I had 2 options. He continued. Pay everything back, or disappear. And you chose to disappear, I said flatly. I chose to survive. He shot back. That hit something hard. You chose to let me bury you, I said. My voice cracked slightly. And I hated that. I hated that. He could still affect me like that. You chose to let me stand there and believe you were gone. I didn't want you involved, he said, louder now. That was never the plan. I laughed again, bitter this time. Oh really? Because I seem pretty involved, Ethan. $72,000 involved. His face fell. Slowly. He didn't look surprised, just ashamed. That was worse. So she knew, I said, turning slightly toward Lena. She knew everything. Neither of them answered. They didn't need to. The silence said enough. I looked back at him. You let me take care of her, I said. You let me pay for your life while you sat here, hiding. His jaw tightened. It wasn't like that. It looks exactly like that. Okay, it started as part of the cover. He said quickly, Lena needed to look like a widow, struggling, surviving. No one questions a grieving wife. And then, I asked. He didn't answer. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I already knew. It didn't stop. It became convenient, easy, comfortable. Double quotes. You stayed gone, even after the danger passed. I said. His silence confirmed it. How long? I asked. Around 1.5 years. He admitted quietly. I let that sink in. 1.5 years. That's when he could have come back. That's when he should have come back. But he didn't. Why? I asked. This time I wasn't angry. I wanted the truth. Real truth. Not excuses. Not half-dash answers. Just truth. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Lena, and that's when I understood. Before he even said a word. She didn't let you. I said. Lena stepped forward. That's not don't. I cut her off. My voice was sharper now, colder. I looked straight at her. You threatened him. She went quiet. That was all the confirmation I needed. You told him if he came back, you'd expose him, I continued. Tell those people he was still alive. Ethan finally spoke. I didn't know if she would do it, he said, but I couldn't risk it. So you stayed dead, I said, and let me fund your new life. It wasn't supposed to be forever, he said, but it became easier, didn't it? I cut in. No consequences, no debts, no past, just a clean slate, and a brother stupid enough to pay for it. That's not fair, he said quietly. I stared at him. Fair? I repeated. You want to talk about fair? My voice rose slightly. Not shouting, but close. Fair would have been telling me the truth. Fair would have been trusting me enough to help you. Fair would have been not letting me grieve you for 4 years like you were gone. Silence. Again. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Good. They should feel uncomfortable. They should feel worse than that. I turned away from them, walked to the window, looked outside. Cars, passing, people, living their lives completely, unaware that mine had just been flipped upside down. I thought about all those Sundays, all those quiet phones, all those moments where I reached for him and had to stop myself. I thought about the grave, the one I visited, the one I talked to, the one that had nothing inside it, and something inside me hardened. Not anger, not exactly something colder, something clearer. I turned back around, and this time, I wasn't the same man who walked into that apartment. Here's what's going to happen, I said. Both of them went still. Ethan looked at me carefully, like he was trying to figure out which version of me he was dealing with now. You're going to fix this? I continued. Cliff furrowed. How? You've got 2 weeks, I said, to figure out how you're going to make this right. With me, with the money, with everything. 2 weeks, he repeated. Double quotes. Yes. And if I don't? He asked quietly. I held his gaze, then said it simply. Then I do. He understood immediately, because for the first time in his life, Ethan realized something. I wasn't bluffing. I looked at Lena next. And you, I said to her. Posture stiffened. Every dollar I sent, I wanted back. Her eyes widened slightly. That's not don't, I said again. She stopped. Good God, because I wasn't in the mood for excuses, or manipulation, or whatever performance she had prepared. I picked up my keys, walked toward the door. Then paused, just for a second without turning around. I said quietly, you don't get to rewrite what you did. You don't get to pretend this was survival. This was betrayal. And then I left. No shouting, no drama, just silence. The kind of silence that comes right before something bigger, much bigger, because they thought the hardest part was over. They thought being exposed was the worst thing that could happen. They were wrong, because I wasn't done, not even close.
I didn't go home right away. I drove. No music. No calls. Just the road stretching out in front of me and 1,000 thoughts colliding in my head. 4 years. $72,000. A fake death, a fake funeral, a fake life. And the worst part? They had lived comfortably inside that lie, while I carried the weight of it every single day. At some point, the anger stopped feeling loud. It became quiet. focused, cold. And that's when I realized something important. This wasn't just emotional. This wasn't just about betrayal. This was calculated, planned, maintained, which meant one thing. There were consequences, real ones. I pulled into a parking lot and just sat there for a minute, hands on the wheel, breathing slowly, thinking clearly, because I knew if I reacted emotionally, I'd lose control of this, and I wasn't going to lose control. Not this time. I took out my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and stopped on a name I hadn't called in years. Marcus Hale. We went to college together. He was the kind of guy who always saw 10 steps ahead, calm, sharp, precise. He became a lawyer, not the flashy kind, the dangerous kind, the kind who didn't raise his voice, but still won. I hit call. He picked up on the second ring. Daniel, this is a surprise. I need your help, I said. Something in my voice must have told him this wasn't casual. When? He asked. Now. There was a brief pause. Come to my office, he said. I'll wait. An hour later, I was sitting across from him. Same Marcus, same steady eyes, same quiet confidence. What's going on? He asked. I didn't ease into it. Didn't soften it. I told him everything. Every detail. From the accident, to the funeral, to the money, to the moment that bedroom door opened. He didn't interrupt. Didn't react much. Just listened. Carefully. When I finished, he leaned back slightly, folded his hands, and for a moment he said nothing, which, coming from Marcus, meant everything. That's extensive, he finally said. That's one way to put it. He nodded slowly. Do you have proof? He asked. I frowned. Proof? Of the payments, he clarified. Yes. Messages, communication? Yes. He nodded again. Good. I leaned forward. What does that mean? He looked at me directly. It means this isn't just a personal issue, he said calmly. This is legal. My chest tightened slightly. Walk me through it, I said. Fraud, he began. Potentially identity-related deception, financial manipulation, and depending on how the death was staged, there could be more. I let that sink in. They faked a death, I said quietly. Yes, and used that to receive money. Yes, and you want your money back? Yes. He nodded once. Then you have leverage. Leverage. That word landed differently. Not anger, not revenge. Leverage. So what do I do? I asked. Marcus didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached for a notepad, started writing. Simple, organized, like he was building something piece by piece. You gave them 2 weeks, he said. Yes. Good, he replied. That gives us time. For what? To prepare. He slid the notepad slightly toward me. Best case, he continued. They return the money. Quietly, no escalation. And worst case? I asked. He looked at me. They don't. Silence. And then? I said. Then we escalate, he answered simply. I sat back, exhaled slowly. Marcus, I don't want chaos, I said. I don't want drama. I just want what's mine. He gave a small nod. Then we do this clean. That word again. Clean, precise, controlled. I like that. Here's what you're going to do, he said. You're not going to contact them again. I already gave them the deadline. Good. Now you wait. And if they reach out? I asked. You listen, he said. But you don't agree to anything. I nodded. Meanwhile, he continued, you send me everything. Payment records, messages, dates, anything that builds a timeline. I can do that. I know you can, he said. That almost made me smile. Almost, because if there was one thing I was good at, it was records, details, numbers. And suddenly, those 4 years of payments didn't feel like a loss. They felt like evidence. I stood up. "So we wait," I said. "For now," Marcus replied. I left his office feeling different. Not better, not healed, but steady, grounded, like I finally had something solid to stand on. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. No calls, no messages, nothing, and that silence, it told me something. They were scrambling, trying to figure out what to do, trying to stay ahead, but they didn't understand something yet. They weren't ahead anymore. Day 4. Ethan called. I let it ring. Then it stopped. A minute later, a message. "Danny, please, we need to talk." I stared at it. Didn't reply. Day 6. Another message. "We're trying to figure this out." No response. Day 8. A call. This time, I answered. Silence on the other end for a second. Then his voice. Tense. "Careful. We can't get all of it right away," he said. Straight to the point. Good. That meant pressure was working. "How much?" I asked. "Half," he said quickly. "Within a week." I didn't react, didn't respond right away, let the silence stretch. "And the rest?" I asked. "We'll figure it out." No, that wasn't good enough. "You have 6 days left," I said calmly. "Daniel." 6, I repeated. And then I hung up. No argument, no discussion, just control. Because this wasn't about negotiation anymore. This was about accountability. Day 10. Marcus called. "I've reviewed everything," he said. "And?" "It's solid," he replied. "Very solid," I exhaled slowly. "If they don't pay, they'll wish they did," he said calmly. That was all I needed to hear. Day 13. Another message from Ethan. "We're ready." Simple, direct. I looked at the screen for a long moment, then replied. "Tomorrow." 6 p.m. That night, slept for the first time in days because I knew something was coming, something final, something that would decide everything. And for once, I wasn't the one walking in blind. I arrived 5 minutes early, same building, same parking spot, but everything felt different now. The first time I came here, I was confused. The second time, I was prepared. I sat in the car for a moment, engine off, watching the entrance. No nerves, no hesitation, just clarity. This was the end of something, one way or another. I stepped out, walked in, took the stairs again, same hallway, same door, apartment 4B. I knocked once, no waiting this time. The door opened almost immediately. Ethan stood there, not hiding anymore, not pretending, just there. "Come in," he said quietly. I walked past him without a word. Lena was already inside, standing near the table. No performance this time. No fake warmth. Just tension. Good. That meant reality had finally caught up with them. I stayed standing, didn't sit, didn't get comfortable. Ethan picked up an envelope from the table. His hands weren't shaking, but they weren't steady either. "This is 40,000, he said. "Bank check." I didn't take it right away. 40 isn't 72, I replied. "I know," he said quickly. "It's everything we could pull together, right?" Now, I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw it. Not just guilt, not just fear, but exhaustion. The kind that comes when a lie finally collapses under its own weight. "And the rest?" I asked. "We'll pay it," he said. "Monthly if we have to." I let the silence sit between us. Then I finally took the envelope. Didn't open it, didn't count it. I trusted the number, because at this point, it wasn't about whether the money was real. It was about what came next. I walked to the table, placed the envelope down in front of me, slowly, carefully. Then I looked at both of them and spoke in the calmest voice I had used yet. "This is how it's going to work." They didn't interrupt. Didn't argue, they just listened. "You're going to pay back every dollar," I said. All of it. Ethan nodded immediately. Yes. No delays, I continued. No excuses. Yes. I shifted my gaze to Lena. And you're going to stop hiding behind him? Her jaw tightened slightly, but she didn't look away. Understood, she said quietly. Good. Because for the first time, she wasn't acting. She was listening. I took a step back. This isn't forgiveness, I said. Neither of them spoke. This isn't even closure. I paused. Let that sink in. This is correction. Ethan swallowed hard. I know I don't deserve. You're right. I cut him off. You don't. Silence. Heavy. Final. Then I picked up the envelope again, turned toward the door and stopped, just for a second because there was one more thing that needed to be said. I didn't turn around, didn't look at them. I just spoke. You didn't just fake your death, I said. You took 4 years of my life and turned them into a lie. My voice stayed steady, but there was weight behind every word now. I grieved you, I continued. I stood at your grave and talked to you like you could hear me. I paused, breathing slowly. You don't get that back. Nothing behind me, no movement, no sound. Good, because there was nothing they could say. I opened the door, stepped out, and this time, I didn't look back. The drive home felt different. Lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because something inside me had settled. The truth was out. The lie was broken. And for the first time in 4 years, I wasn't carrying it alone. Over the next few months, they paid. Not all at once, not easily, but consistently. Every payment came on time. No excuses, no delays. Marcus handled everything. Clean, professional, final. Ethan called a few times. I didn't answer. Not yet. Maybe not. Ever. Some doors don't close, but they don't go back to what they were either. They just stay different. And that's something people don't talk about enough. Everyone thinks the hardest part is losing someone. It's not. The hardest part is learning who they really were after you already loved them. Because once that truth comes out, you can't unsee it. You can't go back. You can only move forward. And moving forward means accepting something uncomfortable. Love doesn't disappear, even after betrayal. But trust? Trust is different. Trust doesn't bend, it doesn't stretch, it breaks. And once it breaks, you don't fix it. You replace it with distance, with boundaries, with silence sometimes. So here's the truth. I got my money back, every dollar. But I didn't get my brother back. Not the one I used to have. That version of him. The one who called every Sunday. The one who made me laugh. The one I trusted without question. He's gone. Maybe he never existed the way I thought. He did, or maybe he just made a choice that erased him. Either way. I don't wait for his calls anymore, but sometimes, on Sundays, I still pick up my phone, out of habit, out of memory, out of something I don't have a name for, and then I put it back down. Because some things, once broken, don't get rebuilt. They just become lessons. And if there's one thing I learned from all of this, it's this. Never confuse loyalty with blindness. And never let grief make decisions your clear mind wouldn't. Because not everyone who looks broken is telling the truth. And not every goodbye is real.